Back in 1990, NBC's short-lived soap opera Generations gave us one of the best catfights of all time. Stars Joan L. Allen and Vivica A. Fox share their memories of filming that iconic showdown. There was a time when the idea of an integrated TV show, specifically one that gave black and white characters equal prominence, was considered groundbreaking. And it was big news when, 35 years ago next month, NBC took a gamble on Generations, the first-ever daytime soap opera to feature a black family at the center. Created by Sally Sussman and starring several famous and soon-to-be famous faces, Generations followed two Chicago families, the Marshalls, including Ruth Joan Pringle and Henry Torian Black, CEO of Marshall's Chicago Ice Cream, and the Whitmores, who employed Vivian Potter, Lynn Hamilton, Ruth's mother, as a housekeeper when Ruth was a child. The Whitmores' college-age daughter, Stephanie Kelly Rutherford, was childhood friends with the Marshall's son, Adam Christoph St. John, and as adults they became platonic roommates. Though soap operas had been around for nearly 60 years by that point, none had ever highlighted black characters so prominently, and Generations' premiere was marked with enormous media fanfare. The amount of publicity we got from mainstream media was off the charts, recalls Sussman. Time, Newsweek, New York Times, everything. This show was so far ahead of its time. However, it wasn't designed that way. It was designed to feature African-American family life, white family life, and mixed family life, organically. Generations premiered Monday, March 27, 1989, opposite the #1 show in daytime, CBS The Young and the Restless. Week after week, the startup soap ranked dead last in the ratings, and in January 1991, just 13 months after Generations premiered to so much publicity, NBC pulled the plug. This was pre-internet days, and there was a massive letter-writing campaign to save the show, says Sussman. Had the internet existed then, you and I both know that show would never have been canceled. Probably not. Even though Generations was gone too soon, fans never forgot it, and to this day, the short-lived soap opera is still celebrated for one of the best TV catfights of all time. In 1990, Dr. Daniel Rubin's Richard Roundtree arrived in town with his spirited daughter Maya Vivica A. Fox. Former jazz singer Doreen Jackson, Joan L. Allen, fell hard for Dr. Daniel, much to Maya's consternation. Oh, and Maya began dating Adam Marshall, but when she found out that Doreen's daughter, Danielle, was the product of her brief fling with Adam, there was hell to pay. It all culminated in a legendary physical showdown when Doreen came home after a formal event and found Maya waiting in her apartment. Birth of a rivalry. Both Joan L. Allen and Vivica A. Fox were new to daytime drama when NBC began casting for the roles of Doreen Jackson, a former jazz singer and recovering addict, and Maya Rubins, who spent much of her childhood on the run with her father after he was falsely accused of killing her mother. The Tony-nominated Allen joined Generations early in the show's run, while Fox came on board shortly before 1990. Today, the former model believes her height, 5 feet 7 inches, helped her land the role of Maya. Joan L. Allen, my audition went well, but it got back to my agent that the network said, we like her, but we're not really sure if she can be sexy enough. They decided to do a screen test with me and write a scene that was a little more provocative. I was in rehearsal for a play in LA. On my lunch hour, I went and I got this little teddy and a little kimono to wear over the teddy. I went into NBC Burbank to do the screen test, and I wore the sexy teddy, and I had a perfume bottle, and I was spritzing myself. They showed the sexy screen test to Brandon Tartikoff, who was the head of NBC at the time, and his daughter was watching the screen test. She looked at it, and she said, I like her. So, I was cast as Doreen. Vivica A. Fox. I remember that I had to audition a lot, go through those hurdles that you go through. Then I had to screen test, and I just remember being young and seeing all the other girls there. When I auditioned with Christoph, I could see that he was tall, and I thought, well, they're going to need somebody that's tall. Christoph was 6 feet 1 inch, something like that. I was looking at the other actresses that were there, and I remember thinking, I might have a good shot at this. I'm telling you, at that time, I did a guest appearance on Beverly Hills 90210, and I was working with all these tiny little male actors that I always used to have to wear flats with. So when I saw my scene partner was Christoph, I was like, yes. Alan. When Vivica joined as Maya, I just remember thinking, okay, what's going to be going on now? Because here's this girl coming in with Adam and I have his baby. Fox. The fact that I got to work with Richard Roundtree, it was like, Shaft is going to play your dad. And I was like, get out of here. My character just came in and took off. Christoph and we got so much wonderful press. I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, I made it. Sally Sussman. Not only did Maya hate Doreen because she knew about the baby, but Doreen was now encroaching on her father, played by Richard Roundtree, whom Maya adored. I remember the conversation vividly in the room, when we wrote the catfight, that Maya would be waiting for Doreen in her apartment. They were both dressed in these elegant dresses, and then they would go at it. Michelle Valjean, who was one of the writers, came up with the line, "I want to wipe this floor with you." Fox, if I can give you a little bit of backstory, Joan L. Allen and I did not get along when I first started working on the show. I was the new kid on the block. We had a little heated conversation one time in the makeup room, and the executive producer of the show, he loved that I stood up for myself. He goes, we got to write a fight scene with those two. Now the crazy thing is, by the time we did the fight scene, she and I were getting along fine, because it took them a little while to write it. When we finally got the script, it made the fight scene even better, and we were totally game for it. Like, let's make this as good as possible.